drops back to the bench. Ninkovic had a calf concern last week, was eventually brought off the bench in Wellington for a late cameo and played his part as Sydney FC finished with a point in a 2-2 draw against the rapidly improving Knicks. Melbourne City, well, they make a couple of changes. Scott Jamieson, the regular captain, is out with illness, so Nathaniel Atkinson comes in to play as the fullback. And the new captain is Roston Griffiths, who steps into midfield, replacing Adrian Luna, who drops to the bench. Alex Wilkinson, captain of Sydney FC, knows he'll have his hands full tonight with Jamie McLaren, who has not scored against Sydney FC in a long time. And I feel like we should cue the Western music, because there's the prospect of an old-fashioned shootout between the top two marksmen in the land. Adam Lafondra with 11 goals to his name, to be one clear of Jamie McLaren in the Golden Boot race. J-Mac against Alfie tonight. Robbie Slater, what a matchup to look forward to.
Yeah, we talked about it in the pre-game, and that's obviously one of the games within the game. A lot of battles out there, but 11 goals for Lafondra. McLaren with 10. Of course, they went for the fast. They were going head-to-head to get to 10, the fastest ever, and I think Lafondra held it for a night before McLaren snatched it off him. But look, massive game for both these clubs, and of course, on a personal level, the Golden Boot, how would you say, you know, wish for these two players is massive, and they'll be looking for goals tonight.
And if Sydney FC can win, they'll set a new A-League benchmark of 9 home wins in a row. At this venue, they've won their past 10. That's already a record at the same place. Their aggregate during that sequence, 27 goals scored, just 7 conceded. Sydney FC in sky blue, Melbourne City in their away kit for the blockbuster. And Jamie McLaren to kick things off. 1v2. Sydney FC start this evening 6 points clear at the top of the ladder. How will it all shake down in 2 hours' time? It could be pivotal in the Premier's Plate race.
Certainly, and you think if Sydney win this one, they'll go 9 points ahead of Melbourne City. And even at this early stage, is on the verge of the new year 2020, that'd be a lot to catch against a side that's playing so well. But Melbourne City, they're the Jekyll and Hyde, aren't they? One week they can be brilliant, next week not so much so. I'm after going to see, and I spoke to Eric Mombert before the game. I said, which Melbourne City we're going to see today? He said, je ne sais pas. I don't know, he said, but he's hoping that it won't be the Melbourne City of last week, rather than the one from the week before.
Yep, their temperament question in big games. We've got a chance to put that to rest this evening. And it's good. Thought he might have played it out off Barbarouses, but he was running back into position, ready to defend the corner, and the assistant gave it.
I think they come off Barbarouses there, so he's done himself in, because I don't think the referee's assistant was sure either. Anyway, the thing is, Sydney have a corner.
Baum-Johan to deliver 4 assists already this season. Decent delivery too, dealt with by Delbridge and Atkinson in combination. Back out to Baum-Johan, who played for the foul, and he'll get it. A little clumsy from Cabrera. And this is a much better angle than you get from the corner. Tom Glover with a head start. And Johan may be tempted to try and sneak one around the wall. There's a big hole there. And Johan off the back of Cabrera. Oh, head clash between the two fullbacks, and they are dazed, stunned, the pair of them. Atkinson and Ryan Grant in big bother. Grant was trying to flick it on. Atkinson was trying to clear it, and they went bang.
And the ball was in the air a long time, so a long time to look at it, and you see that. That's a nasty one. Big deflection off Bomyahan, who mishit his free kick, and you see that both eyes on the ball.
It's been opened up. Ryan Grant, who moves to equal second on Sydney FC's all-time appearances list this evening. 178th game for the club, level with Terry McFlynn. And Atkinson, of course, back in for his first start of the campaign after 5 sub-appearances. We've got this 3-minute window to assess any concussion-like symptoms for players under the new protocol. Let's hope they'll both be able to go on, but their heads will still be rocking.
No, we'll see, it was a very, very heavy clash.
Let's get down to our man at pitch level, Adam Peacock. Good afternoon.
Speedy, thank you. Yeah, that was horrid. You could hear the clash of heads at ground level. It was that forceful. So Stephen Lucas got straight up. They didn't really have too much investigation into the fact that they'll take this 3-minute window to clean everything up and get everyone's head clear, because every time you look at it, the headache for Nathaniel Atkinson in particular gets worse. I think Grant is the better of the two. He looks like he's come to a bit quicker, and they'll just clear the cut up. But obviously they've got to go through the concussion test as well. But Richard Vinbickler, the defender, the experienced defender we've seen play a lot of Champions League football here in Australia, he got straight up, and he's actually being readied on the bench. He's getting his shin pads on. So Nathaniel Atkinson, he's waited a while for a start, and it might not last too long, unfortunately.
Yeah, watch this space. Both going off under their own steam, which is a good sign. Of course, the doctors will have the final say. Kurt Am's in charge tonight, the referee, who's had a month off to ponder his brain explosion by not giving that penalty in the Newcastle v Wanderers game. Pretty big game to come back into.
It's a very good point, Speedy. Yep, certainly a lot of pressure, a lot of eyes on this game. 1v2, so much at stake. Melbourne City want to drag themselves 3 points to within 3 points of Sydney.
It's 11 on 11 again. Both have been given the all clear to get back out there. And Atkinson is playing in the right back role. Galloway has the left side of defence. Well, Atkinson right now is actually pushed up into midfield. Here's Harrison Delbridge, a Sydney boy, born in this city, moved to the United States at the age of 9, and then returned to Australia with Melbourne City after time in the college and second tier of professional football in the United States. Lafondra just dived to try and get the free kick that wasn't there, according to the ref. Now Berlanti v Bratton, interesting matchup as well. Another subplot heading into this one. Those two who traded places in the off-season.
Yeah, well, there was the question Tara put to me and Bozza in the pre-game, and look, we both had to say that probably the one that came this way has done the better at the moment, although Berlanti certainly hasn't disappointed for Melbourne City. He's been one of their very best, but given where they are on the table, Bratton has points up on him.
Atkinson's delivery and Redmayne commanding his area. Another coming up against his former club. 6 in total in this game in the starting lineups, taking on one of their former clubs. Wilkinson played for Melbourne City for 10 games when he returned from South Korea. King helping it on to Ninkovic. And Barbarouses being tracked by Curtis Good, who's certainly going to win the physical battle. Shouldered him off the ball successfully there. Barbarouses with plenty of experience in derbies against tonight's opponent. overhit by Good. Put themselves under pressure immediately by taking the short goal kick. Tom Glover, who celebrated a birthday since the last game, turned 22 on Christmas Eve. Could have his hands full tonight. Bratton on a one-year deal with Sydney FC. Talk that he's the target of MacArthur, a new team coming into the comp next season, and also the potential of a return to Brisbane, where he was for Christmas for the first time in 5 years. Steve Corica giving him some leave to catch up with the family back home. Tough for Galloway, who's been so good in that right-back role, to have to switch up tonight.
Yeah, well, his experience means that he was the one that was going to switch. But what about the work of Ryan Grant there? So often you see players commit a foul in that position, and he worked it perfectly, forcing Galloway all the way back and forcing the throw-in. See that rotation between Bratton and Ryan Grant, which is so effective, or has been so effective for Sydney this season.
Oh, they allowed Balmiohan to face forward, which is playing with fire. Decent ball for Barbarouses, who couldn't take it in his stride. th meeting between these clubs. 11-7 Sydney FC with the edge. And went on that incredible run head-to-head against Melbourne City. 7 wins on the bounce before it ended at Leichhardt in round 22 last season. And Shayon Harrison was amongst the goal scorers. Paulo Retre with an own goal against his former club. There's that sequence. All those goals as well. Plenty of clean sheets in recent times. First top of the table clash between these clubs in 3 years. One finished 1-1. Josh Berlanti sent off in that game. Foul against Griffiths here.
And you see Griffiths said, and you mentioned it before, they allowed Bromyahan to face forward there. He's determined not to let him, even with that rotation of himself, Bromyahan, Bratton and Ryan Grant, trying to squeeze him, not allow space in between the lines.
Griffiths in strongly there. McGowan brought it down, got away from Retre. Potential here for Metcalf. Clever touch, McLaren out in front of Craig Noon. Cabrera at the back post. Risky back heel. Connor Metcalf could have given Melbourne City the lead. It took a deflection, and that may well have saved the hosts.
Yeah, because as it left his boot, you thought it was in. And the back heel was a big risk, maybe because the ball was slightly behind him. Sweeping move, Craig Noon gets into space. It's not really an option front, so he's looking to cut that one back to the edge of the penalty box, and it was Ninkovic with the back heel, and they get away with it.
1 goal so far in the young career of Connor Metcalf. Short corner routine, decent ball in as well. And the header goes over off Sydney FC last, says Kurt Ams, who was well positioned. A bonus corner in the opinion of those Sydney FC defenders. Trying to make sure that Barbarouses is back the required distance here. He's trying to put pressure on the short routine. Noon delivers, and he was put off by the presence of Barbarouses. What do you make of that trend in modern corner taking, Robbie?
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan. I can't see much difference, to be honest. That was a wasted opportunity. There must be a theory to it. I must investigate that.
It had some success at the most recent World Cup.
It's the one, I guess, you know, with the inside of the foot, it's to, you know, to be able, you know, how many times you see someone bend it out and it comes back in. I suppose it's to negate that. So you get it into a more dangerous area.
You're hitting a moving ball, though, aren't you? So does that make it harder or easier?
No, it makes it harder. Of course it does.
Really has become such a popular venue, Cogra, for the fans, and they've turned out in great numbers here, closing in on New Year's Eve as Atkinson blocks off Ninkovic, who celebrated his 35th birthday on our Christmas Day, not his, as Mark Bosnich pointed out pre-game, the Serbian maestro.
Yeah, I spoke to him, bumped into him coming into the ground, and had a bit of a long chat, really, and he's very relieved that his future's now settled. He did tell me that it did affect him. So anyway, it's over now. That's really for him and Sydney FC, and that's a very difficult ball for anyone to try and catch that one.
Had opened up a little for Luke Bratton. FC content to pass it around, move City from side to side. Now there's an avenue for Grant. Clever little cutback. Baumjohann let it run. Barbarousis recycling via Bratton. Good looking shape about that ball. Important header by Atkinson, who had two to deal with at that back post. Did so effectively.
Didn't he defend that well? Wicked ball in from Bratton.
Almost for Baumjohann. Good across in time and concedes another corner.
But Ryan Grant's playing like an out-and-out right winger at times, because Bratton is just rotating his position. He's dropping into that space that Ryan Grant leaves, and it gives the Melbourne City midfield a decision whether to go in there or stay.
Plenty of practice early on for Baumjohann. Trying to find the right delivery here. Fondra on the move. Delbridge wins so many headers. Cabrera back inboard to Galloway. Barbarousis careful not to foul, but they get a goal kick out of it now. Berlanti. What a ball that is. Switching it up to Noon. First touch just gone away from him a little. King told he had time. Flicked it on to Ninkovic. Melbourne City just struggling to get numbers forward in that attack, which had some promise after Berlanti's work. Playing his 150th A-League game this evening, Josh Berlanti.
Yeah, you're right, Speedy. They've got to make an effort. Metcalf's got to try and break into the box, as is Cabrera. They only had really one to hit, Craig Noon.
Atkinson and Grant both making superb recoveries after that sickening head clash early on in this contest. Metcalf thought, surely that pass isn't intended for me. Craig Noon wasn't going to track it down either. Redmayne put under pressure by McLaren. Johan with great use of the body, but two of them combined to win it back. Is he onside? He is. Galloway down the line. The advantage played, and there's 2 and 3 now getting into the box along the deck. Griffiths keeps it alive. Great ball. And McLaren! He was too quick to get over the top. That was a half chance for Melbourne City, all down to that quick thinking of Roston Griffiths.
He did really well because he was stretching. And you watch here, he stretches, gets there before Barbarouses. This ball in, and look, it was hit hardly, but did McLaren misread that? Because it is slightly behind it, but I think if he looks at that back, he'd feel he could have had a real better effort at it. It was, like you said, probably a half chance, but it wasn't executed like a half chance.
It's as though he never saw the ball in flight, unsighted perhaps by the Sydney FC defenders. Free kick against Roston Griffiths here. Over physical. Melbourne City teammates are going into bat for their captain, saying, hang on a minute, he's just stronger than Ninkovic in the 50-50.
Well, I thought that was the case. I didn't see any foul there. I think it's the reaction of Ninkovic that drives Kurt Ams to give a free kick. Well, let's have a look at it again. Roston Griffiths clear 50-50. They're both allowed to go for it. Well, he certainly got the ball. And he does clip him.
It's a yellow card for Roston Griffiths, no stranger to them. It's the 51st of his A-League career, but...
Well, Speedy, what do you make of that one? I mean, I think that's a 50-50, and I don't have a problem with it. I know he catches him, but he's clearly got to the ball.
He didn't slide in, he keeps his feet, he's stronger. Ninkovic is almost jumping in, two-footed, you could argue.
Well, you can't have your boot sliding along the grass. I mean, harsh.
Kurt Ams suggesting that he had some advice from the VAR as well on their adjudication on it, as Berlanti and Griffiths continued their protest. Atkinson overcommitted. Lafondra in behind. Barbarouses with the back heel. Glover was wrong-footed, and grateful to see it off the stanchion and not sneaking in at that near post.
There's that movement. Lafondra on the left, drifted out. Great use of the body. Takes one touch and improvisation from Barbarouses, because from that angle, there's no other way he's going to be able to sneak that in at near post, and he very nearly did.
Kept in by Noon. Corica was appealing for the throw-in. Lovely weight on the pass again from Grant, over the top to Johan. Good flow about the game now.
It was a good play because he got good players, technical players. See Johan makes it look easy. Just cushions the ball with the right foot.
Glover committing here and reading it well on the bounce ahead of Costa.
They did well, and Johan, as I was saying, just cushioning the ball and switching the play. And when you've got good players out there, good technical level, you'll get a good game.
Atkinson overlapping. And they'll get another corner out of it. Adam Peacock had a chance to eavesdrop on the yellow card aftermath.
Speed, I didn't need to listen too hard either, because everyone was yelling. Melbourne City couldn't even believe it was a foul. Steve Corica thought it was a red. The referee decided it was reckless in the end. They were just deliberating the severity of the tackle. And the official word is, and you might not agree with it, but this is from the fourth official, if you go in and challenge like that, you're still endangering the opponent.
Corner routine, and Metcalf opens the scoring for Melbourne City. How big will that goal be when it's all said and done in the 2019-2020 season? City in front in Sydney. Emphatic header from the youngster, who has his second A-League goal.
Yeah, thumping header. And there's a little variation. Again, Sydney don't put two out there so they can play it back to each other. Wicked ball coming in, and Metcalf against, you'd have to say, a static Sydney defence. No one really challenging with any conviction, and that's a towering header. Great ball in from Craig Noon. Doesn't allow Redmayne to come for it, and a clinical header.
And Sydney FC perhaps reconsidering how they'll defend those short corner routines. They only send one man out there, and City worked the 2-on-1 perfectly. Plenty of room and time to deliver the cross that Metcalf was after. A real aerial presence about Metcalf. Good signs for the 20-year-old going forward. Not expected of him in the years to come. Scoring goals out of midfield is a handy trait to have. Ninkovic taken off his boot by Atkinson, who won that corner. Oh, sliding in. Oh, Grant studs up, in trouble, yellow card, and he'll be happy about that. Melbourne City players thought that could have been a red. It's almost a yellow card for both challengers there. What's Atkinson done to deserve all this?
Well, I haven't seen Ryan Grant make tackles like that for quite some time. It was really these kind of tackles were early on in his career. It's certainly reckless. The first one he slides in, he gets up, he sees the ball, and that one's high. He could be off.
VAR can upgrade to red if it's been a mistake by Kurt Ams, and on those replays, is it a mistake, Robbie?
Well, it's very high. For me, that can easily be a red card.
So will the VAR suggest come over and have a look yourself? Or will the advice be it's a straight red card? Yep, he's going to come over and have a look himself. And Sydney FC, after falling behind, could be down to 10. Last time he went over to check the replays, he didn't watch it long enough. That time the freeze frame is damning. Both feet come off the ground.
Yeah, he's off. He won't survive that. That's a horrible challenge. It's just straight over the ball, you see. And look where it hits, halfway up the leg.
Kurt Ams is turning around to see where Ryan Grant is, and he's going to be sent off for the first time in his A-League career. Massive moment. And you think back to the head clash in the first 5 minutes. Is he concussed? Is he not in control of what he's doing?
You see he slides in for the first challenge, and he gets up really quickly and just lunges into the second one. There slides in. His eyes are on the ball, but no, he can't do that. I think he realises as soon as it happens. Let's just hope that Atkinson's okay.
Because it's the old-fashioned leg breaker. Halfway up the leg with full force. And then that second leg coming off the ground. So those two heavily involved in what's gone on so far. They were the ones involved in the head clash in the opening minutes, and now in the flashpoint. Look what it means on the live ladder right now. Melbourne City poised to halve that margin at the top and make it 3 points. They're playing against 10 men now for more than an hour. Adam Peacock.
Bit happening, Speedy. So Steve Corica, when it originally happened, and all the Melbourne City, they just jumped up straight away. They said red. How can that be yellow? Steve Corica looked across and started giving a bit back. And then when he saw the first replay, he got Robbie Standing up, his assistant, and they started to discuss how they were going to reconfigure the side. I think he knew as well. So Eric Monbear was over. You saw it with Kurt Ams as well. They've gone to a 4-4-1, Sydney FC, to try and work out what to do with the man down.
And no free kick for Bratton, who was dragged back there. Kurt Ams saying there's no foul. Let's get on with it. So Lafondra left to lead the line alone in a 4-4-1 now. Rattray, who started in midfield, his preferred position in his 50th game for Sydney FC, pushing back into the full-back role. They're a little careful, weren't they? Roxton Griffiths on a yellow card. Didn't want to even things up there. Strong work by Metcalf again. And off balance. Not the cross that Noon was after. The former Brighton and Hove Albion man, and on that subject, a former Melbourne City man played all right for them last night.
Aaron Moy, man of the match, watched it. What a goal as well. Cap off a fantastic individual performance. Brighton winning 2-0 at home to Bournemouth, and an Australian, the outstanding player on the pitch.
Surely big clubs, bigger clubs are looking at him.
Not necessarily, Speedy. I mean, he's had a good game for his club. It's quite simple.
He's doing it week in, week out, Robbie, though.
Well,
don't you think big clubs
well, I don't know how
like
many games you've watched, but I've watched quite a few, and yeah, he's been pretty good. But he's, you know, concentrating on his club at the moment. And yeah, of course, in the future, if he keeps doing it, it could happen.
Free kick going Sydney FC's way. Wasn't much contact until Baumjohann flung out the left leg. Baumjohann delivers, Glover comes, brings it down. Oh, what a clearance. Delbridge still alive here. Oh, it's in, and they equalise with 10 men. Just minutes after Ryan Grant was sent off, Adam Lafondra thumps home his 12th of the season, and we're level again in the top of the table clash.
Well, young Thomas Glover comes in, and look, when you come like that, you've got to make sure either you catch it or you punch it a long way. I mean, it's a pretty good ball in, but really that's regulation catch for me. Ninkovic missed the first one, they blocked it. That's a super finish. Being able to swivel on that is pointing away from goal. There's the block on Ninkovic, then he misses his second opportunity. Look at this. It's nearly a 360 to somehow squeeze that in past the near post, but that has to go down as a goalkeeping error. And Sydney, after going down to 10 men, get back on level terms. Lafondra just can't stop scoring at the moment.
And that is 30 goals now for Sydney FC. Only the third man to reach 30 for the club. Brosk and Bobo, the first two. Lafondra has gotten there in 40 games. 30 in 40. Four in 4 against Melbourne City as well. And now people will be questioning the mentality of Melbourne City again. Unable to hold on to that lead for very long at all, despite the red for Grant. Sydney FC making the most of that set-piece opportunity. I'm sure there'll be some debate on whether the free kick should have been given. Berlanti. Metcalf, first time flick out in front of Cabrera. Beautiful pass. Wilkinson thought he was a chance, had to back off. McLaren and McGowan did enough in the battle with the Max. Top two scoring teams already finding the back of the net in the opening half hour here. Melbourne City passing it around with confidence, but Baumjohann attending to his defensive duties, took it away from Noon.
That won't be the last time you'll have to do that, Baumjohann.
The time he lost it. Griffiths, referee, was ducking out of the way, thinking Griffiths was about to ping one. Double ricochet, clearly. Out off Berlanti.
Players hate that. When you get into that attacking position and you go for a, you know, an offensive cross. There's the foul on Baumjohann.
Was it a foul?
Yeah, I think it was enough for a foul. But this And Thomas Glover, because McGowan's there, he should have just punched that one. You know, the presence of the big Sydney FC defender made it difficult to catch, which was proven by the fact that he spilled it, so just punch it. Decision-making for a goalkeeper.
It was a fair effort by Harrison Delbridge to keep it out on 2 counts. Successful with the first one, and he nearly headed that shot from Le Fondre clear.
And that his reaction to get up from the block and come across when other players were closer really to that near post. Well, I'm a huge fan of Delbridge, no doubt about that. I think he's got a terrific future. But as is the case with a lot of his teammates, they've just got to show more consistency.
Rattray trying to bend one around. Favoured Curtis Good. Able to keep it in for Galloway. Five sub-appearances before this evening's start for Nathaniel Atkinson this season. Noon drifting inside this time. Cabrera. McLaren on the move in the middle. The Uruguayan keeps his feet. Bends it into a great area, but McLaren had gone near post. If he stayed where he was, he's got a free header.
You're right, and you can't... And there's the problem, you pointed it out earlier in the game. That's why you got to have more bodies. McLaren's got a decision to make. Okay, so do I stay and hope for that ball, or is he going to cut it back? Now, if you've got 2 in there, one can do one and the other can do the other. When you've only got 1 in the box, it becomes very difficult, so you can say, okay, why did McLaren make that run? But he's got to make some kind of run. He's got to make a decision, but that's the key. What Cabrera just did, though, for Melbourne City is be patient. They've got the numerical advantage and stretch Sydney. Get out wide. That's the way to play against 10 men.
Right now it's Sydney FC stretching City. And Good got the full head on it. Great athleticism as Rattray entered in. Little 1-2 from Baum-Johan, a little too much heat on it. Rattray prevented the goal kick. Accidental touch from Le Fondre. And we're trying to squeeze them into that corner, but it's so hard to do when you're down to 10.
I do know that Sydney do train for this eventuality when you go to 10 men. So when they're 11v11s, when they do it 3 days before a game, they'll play with 10. The first 11 they'll pull one off and play with 10 and see how they do it. And I'm sure other teams do the same thing. Both goals from set pieces. What's been an eventful first half so far. It was a good point you made as well, Speedy, that that head clash, was he affected? It'd be an interesting question to ask Ryan Grant.
This time it's another variation all the way out to Galloway. Reverse ball. Cabrera, who took the corner, wasn't too far away from putting it in the top corner.
Well, again, they send one out, Sydney FC, to 2 Melbourne City players. One on the ball for the corner, and again, they nearly were punished. The second phase, Cabrera looking for that top corner.
Griffith sat underneath it, didn't get the shout of time. He could have brought that down. City happy to keep it up tempo here. Good. Cabrera does does some nice things out on that right-hand side. Gets it back from Brillanti. Noon wants it deep. Atkinson looking for McLaren along the deck instead. McLaren picked out this time. Nice weight on the pass from Galloway. Outside the boot from Noon. Kept on going, Craig Noon, and he's all the way through and he butchers it. What a chance, one-on-one with the keeper as he lulled the Sydney FC defenders to sleep, and he can't score his second A-League goal.
Well, he's done everything right. He's done the hard part, and all that's missing is what looked like probably the simplest part of this weaving run was to slot it home. And he somehow contrived to miss the target altogether. What a chance to take the lead. Hesitant defending from Sydney FC, but Craig Noon, terrific skill to engineer that opportunity, but quite simply should have scored.
McGowan had been nutmegged and was just waiting for the back of the net to ripple thereafter. Craig Noon lets him off. Sydney FC's perfect home record this season, under massive threat now. They've won 14 of their past 16 home games, all told. The only loss during that sequence was against City, round 22 last season, when Warren Joyce was at the helm, of course. Lafondra into the back of good. Free kick given, not the goal kick. So Glover will have to take it from the right part of the pitch. Galloway tried to find an angle. Good numbers in the Cove, in fine voice as well, but they'll be worried, no doubt. Still 5 minutes plus a decent chunk of stoppage time to go in this first half. And they're on the back foot right now. Metcalf scored City's goal. And Melhan and Rattray combined to take it off Noon. He was just looking for a confidence booster at the moment. Cabrera. Couldn't drop it over the top of McGowan. And McLaren was waiting. Energy sapping conditions, temperatures still in the mid-20s here, humidity high in Sydney. Ninkovic played through his legs. He is looking tired, and Galloway upset with his finish there. He's capable of better.
He was trying to place it and didn't get the right connection on it. Nice little move. He nutmegged Bratton. You're right, Ninkovic obviously playing in that position in midfield now. It's not his natural position to defend, of course.
City have won their past 2 away games. If they can make it 3 on the bounce, that'll be just the second time they've done that in club history. And the other time they did it, the 3-game sequence was closed out 8 years ago today against Sydney FC. 4-0 win it was that day. Eli Babal was untouchable. You may remember when they were the Melbourne Heart. McGowan with a crowd lifter, sliding in, get it away from Metcalf. That's cool. Well, the kid playing in the left-back role, Michael Zullo, should be back for the next game, but Joel King getting a good run of games at the moment. Back to Ninkovic. Melbourne City have dropped deep here in their 4-4-2 shape. Ninkovic running rings around Metcalf, kept on going. Milos Ninkovic wins a penalty. Delbridge had nowhere to go. Ninkovic went straight into the big centre half, and Kurt Ams had no hesitation. Sydney FC with the chance to come from behind with 10 men.
Well, I said we were talking about him before. Ninkovic, he doesn't like defending, but wow, you put him up the other end and he loves doing this. I mean, tremendous. He was trying to play this square and he does him with the body, rolls it back, and he's away from Metcalf. Little 1-2, perfect with Bomyahan. Little nutmeg on Delbridge, who holds his ground but stops, and he holds his hands out, so it's an unnatural position as well, so they're not going to overturn that. There is a question, there is an argument, obstruction, indirect free kick. But terrific play just from Ninkovic. He truly is the master.
It was the old knee-on-knee contact that we saw the other night in Adelaide as well. Adam Lafondra for the payoff. Oh, great save by Glover. So often he goes right down the middle with power, and Glover left a leg there and made a super save to keep it 1-1.
Well, you're right, and he's used his whole body. And Lafondra just goes for power but doesn't get it high enough. So he dives to the left, flicks out that right leg. Brilliant save.
Just the second failure from the spot for Lafondra out of 9 takes, and VAR just checking whether he had left his line before the ball was struck. He was well behind the line, then he leapt into the field of play and timed it beautifully. It's been given the all clear.
And what a chance for Sydney FC. You just wonder.
As for another one there, they don't get it.
You just wonder how many chances like that they're going to get with 10 men. So we could have had more goals, there's no doubt. Craig Noon missed an absolute sitter, missed penalty for Sydney. There's a lot to talk about at half-time. And see this, just doesn't get the height. If you can hit it straight, you need a bit of height on it to stop it hitting that leg. But, you know, credit to the goalkeeper.
And you watched on that replay as well, he had one leg well behind the line and pushed off as Lafondra stepped in to smash it. And they checked the replay to make sure that he hadn't left too early. And maybe there'll be other goalkeepers just copying that blueprint. It was clever work. Well, the youngster, 22 years of age, that experience in the academy at Tottenham behind him, now playing regular first-team football after replacing Dean Bazanis 3 games ago now. Six minutes of stoppage time.
Well, he's certainly made up for the mistake on Sydney's goal, where he came and spilled it.
Johan risky play. Laid it off, trying to find his keeper a fancy. Wound up being Retre getting on the end of it. And now it's poked away from Baum-Johann. McLaren trying to tee up Metcalf, and Wilkinson sees off the threat. Atkinson, ball and all, they thought he handled that one. And Kurt Ams is saying it was off the leg. Hasn't he had some decisions to make in this opening half? Game played at a great pace. So many 50-50s. Now another one, and McLaren couldn't get over the top of that one either. Didn't leap for that header earlier on, and that looked like another chance for J-Mac.
Again, does he just misjudge the flight of that ball?
Didn't get much of a sniff in the derby. Jamie McLaren, here's another look at it.
I think he thinks that Ryan McGowan's going to head that one away.
Redmayne looking to launch for Lafondra. Good across. Tracking it well in flight. Sydney FC able to commit some numbers forward here, though. Trusting Ninkovic in amongst a couple of white shirts. Bratton with a trademark switch. Lovely. Deft touch from Atkinson. Bratton. Delbridge elected to deal with it. Bratton can have another go now. Delivers on the left, and it's floating and dropping towards Lafondra. So Glover did well to advance. Metcalf tried to spin out of trouble. Barbarousis immediately looking for Lafondra, who only just got back on side, and the momentum was going the wrong way. Thoughts on the first half, Robbie?
Oh, I might need some time. But you know, some good football. Obviously, the big point, apart from the goals and a couple of the misses, is that red card to Ryan Grant, which has certainly swung it in Melbourne City's favour against 10 men. And are they going to be good enough to be able to use their numerical advantage to go on and win this game? Sydney FC, for their part, they'll be disappointed they're not going in ahead after missing a penalty. That's quite simple. But Sydney, with their 10 men, have, when they get the opportunity, gone forward. So you expect that the second half there'll be a lot more action.
McGowan wasn't happy about the whistle. What can Melbourne City do with it? Last chance, perhaps, of this first half. Elongated by all the stoppages. That variation won't be coming out again. What an absorbing half of football. Top of the ladder clash. Sydney FC fans stand to applaud, but they know their team is in a big fight. Ryan Grant sent off. Adam Lafondra equalised after Connor Metcalf had opened the scoring. That's why we've got the scoreline at the break. Sydney FC 1, Melbourne City 1. And as you saw, Adam's ready to chat to Alfie.
Thank you, Speedy. Adam Lafondra, the good and the bad. We'll speak about him in one question, okay? The goal you scored, superb. Take us through that one, and then the pen. Do you regret it?
No, I don't regret it. He's made a really good save. You know, he's left his legs there. Obviously, I'm prone to going down the middle or in the top corner or off the bar and in, or, you know, with so much power. But, you know, he's made a great save. Obviously, it's just another one. I'll take another one and it'll go in. Doesn't deter me or anything like that. The goal was just typical me, I think, just foraging around in the box. It fell to me, spun and shot, and, you know, lucky enough it went in.
Quick one on the second half. How do you approach it? Do you continue to attack, or do you absorb a bit and try and get him on the counter?
I think we try and do a bit of both. Obviously, we attack when the moment's right, when we're in good shape to do that. And but obviously we've got to, withstand without the ball now. A lot of pressure what they're going to have. We've got to soak it up and obviously, react from there.
Cheers, mate.
No worries,
thank you. Good stuff. Adam Lafondra speaking. Despite the penalty miss, off to a break. I don't know how they're going to do this half-time, Tara and Bozza, and fit it all in, but they're going to do just that after the break on Fox Sports. What a game this is.
Yep, I got you.
Out. How's that? That's better, isn't it? Yeah. You happy with that position, Hosco?
I am.
That's where we are, guys.
I don't know what I'm talking about yet. I heard Ian, but I think he's doing something.
Top game. I thought Melbourne City were marginally better before the send-off. After the send-off, I think Sydney were better. Hey, you know what it comes back to? At the start of the game when Robbie said he's right, you know how we said, can they handle being favourites? Well, and I said, well, they're underdogs today, so they'll be okay. But now, as soon as they've realised we're favourites now, we can win this, I don't think they've quite been the same, although they did have that wonderful opportunity to finish. Yeah. No.
Well, what a top of the table clash it is here in Cogra. We're all tied up, 1 goal apiece as the players head into the sheds. But it's a game that's well and truly had everything. Penalty decisions, red cards, goals, leading goal scorers get themselves onto the score sheet. And the contest, well, I dare say it's going to continue to dish up what has been a phenomenal contest in the first half. Also, welcome back from Tara Ashton. Great to have your company and to be joined by Mark Bosnich. That was fascinating. Couldn't take my eyes off it. Bozza, what did you make of it all?
Well, we couldn't, Tara. Exactly right. You always realise, don't you, when you're watching any sporting event, especially our game, that when time absolutely flies by, you realise it's been such an enjoyable first half. It didn't disappoint. We said it was the biggest game of the season, and like you just said, it had pretty much everything. I don't know how it's still 1-1. But we'll get on to that in a minute. But absolutely, a really good entertainment, considering as well, it's starting to cool down now. However, beforehand it was very hot. So congratulations to both sets of players for the entertainment they've put on.
Yeah, the heat, it didn't seem to affect the players at all. It was about 28 degrees at kickoff here. Eric Mombert, he was talking pre-game, he was probably talking all week in the lead up to this one. He wanted a better start from his side, and it looked very good, especially from one of his young guns, Connor Metcalf at first.
Well, he got that. And I mean, Connor Metcalf, he had the best chance, you have to say, before his goal as well. They created two half chances, but this short corner routine, which they've been continuing with, works well to change the angle, and he arrives late. Great ball in, and a superb header right into the corner. And by that time as well, Melbourne City were the better team. I thought they started the better team, and ironically, another point we're going to talk about right now, I think after the sending off, I think Sydney have been marginally the better team. So there's a real battle going on here. And you know what, Robbie Slater made a really good point pre-game. He said last week, you know, you can never remember in a Melbourne derby, Melbourne City being such huge favourites, and they didn't handle that expectation well. I then said, well, it's okay today because they're underdogs. After the send-off,
not anymore.
They're not. They're favourites. So I think they've sort of, it's kind of like they got to the top of the mountain.
I think it's impacted them a little bit. This moment here, awful to watch, isn't it, Boz?
Yeah, well, it's 2 red cards, basically. It's a double red card. Ryan Grant is, for me, is the best right back in the country. Does not need to do that. I don't want to see tackles like that in our game whatsoever. And 150% the right decision. There you go.
So this is
he's actually never been sent off. That is his first red card in A-League history. So it's a massive one
out
for
of
them.
character. I mean, you know, Speedy made the point about the concussion
What
thing.
do you think?
Well, to be honest, when I was upstairs, I was in the room with you when Speedy made the point. You saw my reaction. I was like, but he may have a point because I've never seen him ever do a tackle like that. I mean, somebody may come back and tweet me and say, well, here's one. But really, I mean, that was a terrible, terrible tackle, and one not becoming of a player that he is.
Yeah, him and Nathaniel Atkinson both on the floor. He was bleeding from the head clash as well. It could have played a part. Well, they were down to 10 men. Sydney FC, they still scored, and the leading goal scorer got it done. It was a magnificent turn from Adam Lafondra.
Well, it was. And like I said to you, really, I think this is the time when actually Melbourne City started thinking to themselves, hang on a minute, you know, we're 1-0 up, they're down to 10 men, you know, and they sort of lost their way. I think that the free kick was rather fortuitous on Galloway. But here, Glover, Robbie Slater made exactly the right point. When there's a crowd of people like that, you just punch the ball. You punch it as far and as wide as you can. But Lafondra, that 360-degree turn, that was absolutely phenomenal. It was like a ballerina.
Beautiful goal, beautiful finish. And then he was heavily involved in what took place next, the penalty. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, 100% penalty as well. A fantastic play by Sydney. And Ninkovic, you know, basically squared up Delbridge. He was waiting for him to make that move. He makes that move, it goes into his leg. That's 110% penalty. And we just spoke about Tommy Glover making a mistake for the goal, but doesn't he make up for it, which is absolutely fantastic save. And, you know, just before he was taking the penalty, I'm thinking to myself, great athleticism. I can't remember Lafondra missing one. You know, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, every time he hits it, it's like the back of the net is going to burst. But that was a phenomenal save. That is really top athleticism.
Athletic, amazing legs in the way that they stretched out to save that. Second half, how do you see it playing out, Boz?
Well, exactly like you could say since the sending off. You know, Sydney will stay in their 2 banks of 4 with the one up front when they're defending. When they're attacking, they've tended to push one of those 4 up front to keep having a go. That's very important that they do that. Melbourne City will have the bulk of possession. What they need to do is, when you're playing against 10 men, what you need to do is just to make them run, okay? You've got the extra man, you spread the game out as much as you possibly can, and do not underestimate 10 men. There's been so many teams in history that all of a sudden think, oh, we've won this, because the 10 men can make it very difficult for you, and not to get frustrated, because there are going to be times where they're going to try to hit you on the break when you've lost the ball, and you might be arguing, you know, what do you do? Get back, make sure you do your defending. And like I said, keep moving that football, It is still quite hot, although it's cooled down, hence the jacket, right? So it's not going to be easy for Sydney to do another, I mean, they've done, 15 minutes now? They're going to have to do a 45-minute
another block, they've got to do it again.
Yeah, and they're going to do it again, so it's not going to be easy for them. So keep spreading the ball, keep passing the ball.
Huge
the chances will come.
half.
You saw Harry Noon, he had a great chance already, so just keep it. Yeah, Craig Noon, sorry.
Yeah, he did indeed. A huge second half coming up on the other side of this short break. Melbourne City well and truly in the driver's seat. How will they go on the big stage? Can they stay strong, or will they crumble against Sydney FC?
Welcome back to Cogra. Sydney FC have made a change at the break. Baum Johan off, Anthony Caceres on. Fresh legs in midfield. Change of approach, of course, for Steve Corica when his team was reduced to 10 men. 25 minutes in, Ryan Grant upgraded to a straight red card by VAR. So the Sky Blues kick things off. They did come up with an equaliser from the league's top scorer, Adam Lafondra, after Connor Metcalf had opened the scoring. So many talking points in that first half. There's going to be a whole lot more in the second, I'm sure, Robbie Slater.
Yeah, you get that feeling, and you bomb your hand. That's got nothing to do with performance. That's just fresh legs, and in that midfield area, there's going to be a lot of work to be done. Melbourne City with the advantage. It's up to them. The onus is on them with the 11 to stretch Sydney to go and try and win this game. On the face of it, it just kicked off, of course, but a point for Sydney, given the circumstances, wouldn't be a bad result.
Griffiths couldn't find Noon. He got plenty of ball in that first half. He'll get it again here after Barbarouses lost out, and there is Caceres, the fresh man, standing out at the base of midfield. Sydney FC here. Ninkovic, so classy. Another ripple of applause, the oohs and ahs around Netstrata Stadium for the Serbian maestro, who bamboozled Delbridge to earn that penalty that was not converted by Adam Lafondra. Bratton says he's got lifelong friends after his time at Melbourne City, where he played just shy of 90 games for that club. Trying to coax Melbourne City to come out a little more than they are. A game of cat and mouse at the start of this second half. Sydney FC dominating possession. Sloppy ball there by Bratton, who did not foul Metcalf. Played it cleverly in the end. Around the corner for Barbarouses. And they can't prevent the corner. Deflected out off Galloway.
Yeah, an interesting start to the second half, and Sydney FC dominating possession. All of the possession in the few minutes we've had results in a corner. Barbarouses getting in behind. Terrific scene here. Really packed house at Jubilee.
Well, the kids who played at half-time still making their way back into their seats, as you can see. Caceres has taken over the corner responsibility as well, and headed clear by Galloway. Not sure it was goal bound. He had Glover behind him, but saw off the initial threat. Barbarouses now. Bratton can step in. Tries the slice one for McGowan. Oh, nice catch, Ryan. Does it at the other end. It's a penalty, of course, but he knew it was going out.
That's just a reflex. Hey, from the park.
And when you haven't got ball kids and you're playing in the Sunday League, then you do catch them when they're going out to play like that, rather than chase the ball. McGowan turned back the clock as Berlanti delivers a nice ball. And Rattray and Caceres first to it. There were three City players at the back post. Neither could get on the end of it. Cabrera. Never hit that time, and Barbarouses can get it out of there. finds an angle to an offside Craig Noon. Assistant obviously sure that the Englishman had strayed. City edging their way forward. Berlanti picking the right pass again. Metcalf onto Cabrera. Switch back onto the left to deliver and earn a corner. Ninkovic a little proppy after charging it down. Again, the 2-on-1. Cabrera with the quick feet pulls it back, and Berlanti not reacting. Bratton able to take it away. Barbarossa's coolly done. Great work by Atkinson, forcing Bratton backwards because there was the potential of a counter. It still might accrue here. Ninkovic tried something extravagant. Let's get down to Adam Peacock again.
Yeah, thanks, Speedy. Message simple from Eric Monberg. Calm at half-time, just move the ball quicker, move them around. It's pretty elementary when you're playing against 10. We'll see if it manifests in this second half. As for Sydney FC, big call. As you mentioned, Speedy, Ninkovic wasn't moving very well at the end of that first half, but they went for Bum Johan off, sacrificed. It's not the first time it's happened.
Oh, Noon trying to squeeze it in. Little touch on the way through as well. Was that goal bound from the Englishman?
Well, nice sharp movement on the edge of the box. He's run, lovely little turn, trying to go the right idea across the keeper, and Redmayne just with the fingertips.
Oh, Atkinson across the face. Desperation defending by Milos Ninkovic. Otherwise, there's a side foot finish coming up for Metcalf to complete his brace. Cabrera again, away by Lafondra this time. Berlanti. Smash it in the top corner.
Well, they're persisting with just the one man out on the corners, and they're getting away with it. Berlanti takes this one on. And for that top right-hand corner, misses by some distance.
The assistant coaches normally handed that brief, Robbie. Robbie Stanton is trying to get a message across late in that first half on how to deal with it. What tweak would you make?
Well, you've got to send two out. It doesn't have to go all the way out, but it's got to go half the way. Melbourne City, you'd think they'd be looking at, oh, well, there is Luna against the 10 men. Seems the type of player that they could do with.
Adrian Luna, as you can see, the number 20, ready to come on and join his countryman, Javier Cabrera, you'd imagine. Finding their groove now after a slow start to this second half, the visitors. Roston Griffiths. Very careful to make sure that was on target.
Yeah, second one from outside the area. This time it's Roston Griffiths. And I think Sydney, the 10 men, be quite happy for Melbourne City to be taking shots from this kind of distance.
Lafondra in the passing lane. Viserys can face forward, not a lot to go to. Once again, happy to recycle. There's been plenty of passing in this part of the pitch for Sydney FC so far. Sarah's trying a move that wasn't really on. Just the spray one. Pereira did well to keep it in. Atkinson, bit of space. Never scored an A-League goal. Had a crack. 40 games and counting now for Atkinson.
A great position. Slices it off the outside of his boot, but it's 3 shots in the last 5 minutes. Melbourne City.
Goal scorer withdrawn. You can see he's got the left leg strapped, Connor Metcalf, so maybe part of the reasoning for his withdrawal after this header. His second A-League goal. Luna, a different kind of player, Robbie.
Yeah, definitely. You know, quite similar to Cabrera in a lot of ways. In small stature, very good on the ball. Metcalf's probably better at making longer runs. This guy's all about touches on the ball.
Getting a couple early on. McLaren on the move. Getting no change out of Paulo Retre. Atkinson again winning it ahead of Lafondra. He's having a pretty good game, Nathaniel Atkinson, considering he was involved in that head clash early on with Ryan Grant and hasn't started a game until now this season. Looked like handball there against King, not given. Grattan dropping back between the centre halves. Lovely pass. Lafondra trying to chest it down and evade Atkinson, but he can't.
Yeah, he read that well, Atkinson. Yeah, Lafondra trying to chest it and take it on the run. Sydney getting deeper, finding it more difficult to keep any possession. That's again offside. That shouldn't happen. That's twice now. Looking right across that line.
What you get with a defence marshalled by Alex Wilkinson there. No frill stuff. Will catch out the attacker who's not switched on. Ninkovic getting away from Atkinson this time. Can Milos weave some magic again? Out to Barbarouses. Great run being made by Retre, but Barbarouses missed him.
And that's the kind of chance when they get it, they got to make more of it, Sydney. Not going to get many.
What it has done is opened it up for City at the other end. Cabrera. Back post. McLaren! Oh, that would have been one of the great goals. In fact, it was Luna peeling off at the back post.
Great technique. And you can see Redmayne, he's just relieved. Terrific vision here, just hangs it up to the back post. Ryan McGann can't cover it. It's up horizontal. It flashes past the far post.
The two Uruguayans combining to nearly devastating effect. Would have been some introduction as well. He's only been on the pitch for a couple of minutes. Andrew Redmayne just got the hurry up from the referee. Atkinson trying to shield it out for a throw-in. Ninkovic kept it in. Only briefly, Melbourne City taking it away. Noon careful to stay onside that time by about 5 metres. From side to side from City. Atkinson again advancing. That's his pocket. He wants to utilise it. What a ball! I think he's expecting a teammate to be coming in at the back post there. McLaren again ran central, and he's thinking Luna should have finished off the job after a brilliant ball from Atkinson.
It was a brilliant ball, and Luna should have finished it himself. He can see everything. He's looking at it. Atkinson comes inside. Everyone's probably expecting a shot. There's no one coming there. He can see right across that line. He's got to take it on himself.
Had he scored, maybe it was going to be taken away on VAR anyway for offside.
But good signs for Melbourne City. That's really good opportunities they've made now. They're stretching Sydney side to side. Cabrera hugging the touchline. Moon the other touchline, the left-hand side.
What are you seeing in this performance from Atkinson?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's opened up. He's the real outlet. He's got so much time, but he's certainly, you know, as a fill-in for Jamison, he's done more than asked for the moment.
Moon again cutting inside and turning it over straight to Retro. Not the first time. Saris keeps it moving. Ninkovic with the instant control. Young King finding the feet of Lafondra. Dynamic sweeping move by Sydney FC, but Delbridge, once he gets up to top speed, the striker's not going to get around him.
Yeah, he gave himself too much to do there, Lafondra. I see the idea. But he gave Delbridge 5 metres. You're never going to recover that.
McLaren off the shoulder of McGowan. There's no one really getting into the middle immediately for McLaren. Cross was charged down anyway. Ten goals in 7 games heading into tonight. Jamie McLaren, but didn't score in the derby. Yet to really threaten Redmayne here. Bratton tried to go through Roston Griffiths, who's careful with his challenges after copping that early yellow. Galloway jinks his way around one. Teased delivery, doesn't elude Wilkinson in the middle. Back in by Galloway. Outside of the boot from Bratton. Atkinson again. Tidies up for City. Look at that delivery. Wilkinson had to be very good. Took it away from Redmayne, and anywhere will do for Lafondra now. Melbourne City starting to boss it. McLaren again commits the foul at the end of it all. Referee lost his whistle.
Sydney will be happy to just get a breather here. There'll be no hurry to take this. Just left his leg there. And Sydney players are going to feel a bit of contact. They're going to go down.
Game for Sydney FC after 54 for Melbourne City for Paolo Retre. Said this week that he's trying to prove to Steve Corica that he's worthy of being a starting midfielder in the next campaign. He's building blocks this season to show that he'll be ready to play his preferred role as a starter next season. Of course, Brandon O'Neill out with injury for another 2 or 3 weeks, giving Retre the opportunity, the start of this game at least, to play in midfield. Of course, he's dropped back to right back after Grant's expulsion. That's why you've got that red icon over the top of Sydney FC. If you've just tuned in, Ryan Grant was given a yellow card after diving in on Nathaniel Atkinson. The VAR said to Kurt Ams, you better upgrade that one to red. And Johan withdrawn at half-time. That switch from Bratton outside of the boot, out in front of King.
You can hear Steve Corica down there. Keep it, keep it.
Ninkovic accepting that challenge. Caceres. That time the move worked. He wants it back, and King was betwixt and between and turned it over again to Atkinson. Galloway. Reverse ball for McLaren, getting plenty of touches in that part of the 18-yard box, which will please Steve Corica. Galloway opening up the shooting angle where he scored famously against Sydney FC in the season opener as an Adelaide United player at the start of last season. Oh, Griffiths pulled out, and it wound up being a handball by Bratton, who was perhaps bracing for the contact from the bigger midfielder. Cabrera. King backing off. Cut back. Luna wound up being a dummy. Galloway keeps it alive. Luna, really tight window to pull off that pass. Could be a night for the substitutes to make a difference. Eric Mombert has plenty in reserve. What he's thinking about how to use them. The likes of Lockie Wales with his pace. Rami Nazarene, another young gun. Florent Berenguer, who we haven't seen a lot of this season. French coach trying to urge his team to push up and win it back. Easier said than done against this well-drilled Sydney FC team. Any advice on how to work that bench, Robbie?
Well, at the moment, just what's on the park, and you saw Sydney have comfortable possession. They shouldn't have comfortable possession. When you're 10 men, you should be constantly under pressure. He's already brought on Luna, of course, and Berger is an obvious one as an attacking player. Nazarene, like you said, he's got options. He doesn't need to bring on defenders, that's for sure.
Luna now making the run. It'll work out for Noon. Oh, he trot on it second time around after clumsily working his way past the defender Barbarouses initially. He kicked the ball away in frustration, and Kurt Am's just giving him a warning rather than a card. Well, here is the second cab off the rank. Rami Nazarene. Redmayne waiting for his team to push up the pitch before firing one up there. And they played for free kicks, first Ninkovic and then Lafondra.
And that's a good result. And, you know, when you look, when you're 10 men, set pieces become a major part of a possibility of how a 10-man team can score. And it's not exactly a fantastic position, but he's approaching that front third.
Their goal did come from a similar kind of free kick, of course, which Glover didn't deal with initially. Bratton bending one, good shape on it. Awkward for defenders, and they'll get a corner out of it off good. Right in front of the Cove, who are getting a little excited now with just over 20 of the 90 to go. Really excited. They hold off on the change. Nazarene not brought on yet, and that's easy for Glover.
That's when, you know, look at now the counter's on. They're 3-on-3 if he goes quick enough. Terrible corner from Caceres.
It's great work. Use of the body by King off the ball. Just ensuring McLaren couldn't run into that channel. Time for that change. O'Noon, after an indifferent performance, is withdrawn. What do you make of that change, Robbie?
Yeah, I think it's fairly expected. Craig Noon's done a lot of work up and down that left-hand side. Hasn't had a lot of joy. Caught a couple of times offside and probably not producing the end product that Mombert is looking for.
Here he is, immediately involved. The latest substitute. Back to the other one. And the shot from Luna goes all the way through to the youngsters again.
And that's been a real pattern of this second half, shots from distance, and they've had a couple of other good chances. Lunar himself with a spectacular overhead attempt, probably their best chance. But like I said before, shots from distance with Redmayne in goal in the form he's been in this season, they'd be fairly happy with that. Of course, someone could put one in the top corner. It's Melbourne City to go and win this game now. And those 10 men are going to be tiring the longer it goes on. And there's another, that's a good outcome from Sydney. And that's what you got to do. There's no need to foul there. He's got nowhere to go. He had no support. But every time you foul them, it's another, 45 seconds, a minute. So in no hurry, gives them time to recover.
Well, Cabrera won it cleanly. Ticked the pocket of King. McLaren finally, he's waited all night for this chance. Tried to score when he had Nazarene available.
And Joel King's the most relieved because he got a bit clever on the left-hand side there, and Cabrera picked his pocket. And Nazarene, that's his second foul he's committed. You don't need any contact. You just let him have the ball. He's got nowhere to go. As soon as you have contact, Sydney players got enough experience to just fall over.
FC players just ambling their way up the pitch. They're certainly chewing up seconds when they can. Here's another opportunity with the throw in the attacking half. McGowan, calmly done. Got rid of Luna. Bratton with the aggressive pass, hits Barbarouses on the backside. Who are you blaming there, Robbie?
You've got to blame Barbarouses because it was a terrific pass.
Atkinson, this is his channel. Oh, nice idea. Just took a touch off a Sydney FC player, and Redmayne able to scramble and keep it in.
I think they had too much bend on it.
Wouldn't get a gig as a wide receiver in the NFL with that kind of awareness across the Barbarouses. Hit on the numbers. Again, and Cabrera, it's been the tandem down this right-hand side that's caused issues, and there's another shot in frustration from that kind of angle.
And it's not what is needed. It was a really good pass from Atkinson, who's had a very good second half, and Cabrera, who himself has been good, but he had better to do there.
This place has been buzzing all day. It's a triple header. Credit to Sydney FC for putting this one on, and the fans have responded, packing this joint out. 17,000 plus. W League, where they saw a belter from Princess Sabini, a 2-0 win. The Youth League is playing after this, and that's a team to hang around for as well for these fans lucky enough to be in the house. Sydney FC against the Mariners. We've got a kid playing for Sydney FC, Marco Tilio. He's been scoring a stack of goals. He's often promoted to the senior squad when the squads come out on the Thursday. As Caceres is chopped down and Atkinson goes into the book.
That's great play from Caceres. He's literally on his own and he's got nowhere to go. So he's just gone, you know what, I'm just going to try and take everyone on, try and be direct, try and get through that little gap, which he does, and he draws the foul. Straight through three of them.
Possession pretty much a 50-50 split throughout this game. Melbourne City only just shading it. Oh, Ninkovic again. Hasn't he put on a show this evening? Here he is, surging into the area. Milos Ninkovic goes down. Delbridge won the ball that time and needed to. No penalty. Same two combatants that went head-to-head for that first half spot kick.
Exchange of passing was super from Sydney, and Ninkovic bursting in, and it took a top challenge, and it was a top challenge from Delbridge. Yeah, but surprising, you know, to be nearly even in possession for a team that's playing with 10 men for an hour. That's pretty good work from Sydney FC.
Did they come here with one game plan and haven't really adjusted well enough to what's occurred?
Well, you'd have to say yes. Look, there was a period in the second half when they did start to stretch Sydney, and they just stopped doing it.
They're set up as a 4-4-2 formation defensively. Melbourne City FC have been down to 10 for a long, long time now. 25th minute. Grant was sent almost from King to Ninkovic. It was a deft attempt.
Wasn't far away. Another super ball from Luke Bratton. Left foot this time.
Milos Ninkovic is going to be withdrawn. And the 20-year-old Harry van der Sarg is going to come on. Pretty impressive performance again from the maestro.
Not very popular here, is he?
Just the second A-League appearance for van der Sarg, who went head-to-head with Kylian Mbappe in that pre-season encounter against PSG. Would have learned a lot on that night. Played as a fullback, a right back on that evening, but he's into midfield here. Cabrera, burst of speed, and then he played it out. Heavily involved this evening, Javier Cabrera, who scored his first goal a couple of weeks back in that rout in Newcastle. The free kick needlessly conceded. Atkinson turned away in frustration, and so too did his coach. Flag staying down for Barbarouses. Van der Sarg, 20 years of age. Moving it back to King. It's a youthful left side right now for Sydney FC. limited resources, the movement of this Sydney FC team still a joy to watch.
At the moment, it looks like Melbourne City got 10 men. Bratton's just running the shot.
Adrian Luna asking for a yellow card. Kurt Ams obliges.
Did he ask him?
So now it's time for the speed factor for Melbourne City. Lockie Wales is going to come on at the next stoppage. Van der Sar. Bratton. Angled run being made by Redray. A little shank at the end of it all. Luna. Good stretch by Nazarene. Two subs combining all the way through for Cabrera. Decent hit. And the follow-up shot tipped over by Redmayne, is it? No. Out for a goal kick.
Well, there's no surprise that they make a chance when they go out wide. Cabrera trying to spectacle. It wasn't a bad effort. Comes back to him and hits it on the up. Did Redmayne get a touch? Difficult to tell from that angle.
Got the expert Mark Bosnich right in between us, and even he's hesitating. Normally he's all over those. There's definitely been a touch. Sarah's running out of room, so Wales on now, playing on the right side. Cabrera taken off, like for like change. Nazarene to Luna, who's looking for Wales. There's three subs combining on this occasion. Wales taking on King. Worked an angle. Oh, not quite at the back post for Nazarene, who tried to get up a la Cristiano Ronaldo. Not quite the same spring as the Portuguese superstar. Delbridge backtracking. Goalkeeper was a long way out of goal. That's why the fans were getting excited. And he makes it look like a clumsy challenge there, Roston Griffiths, who's on a yellow card. Could it be 10 on 10 in a moment? Fans want to see it. I'm not sure they're going to, though.
That's experience staying down. Just the free kick. It was certainly late, so the Fondra gets there well before.
Kurt Ams reminding the Sydney FC players that he's the man in charge as they ask for the second yellow. Too easy the way they've worked this. Barbarouses to win it! Sydney FC! Their perfect home record intact, maybe. They take the lead with 6 to go, and Costa Barbarouses with an unerring finish. Down to 10 men for more than an hour, and now Sydney FC are on top.
Well, quite extraordinary. And you just think that Melbourne City must have switched off, because you know there was all talk they were asking for a second yellow card, and Roston Griffiths sort of strode back in and they tried to get their structure right, but Barbarouses was far too open. But if you forget that, a simple ball and he's allowed to turn, comes inside, Galloway you can't let him come inside like that. You've got to show him the line. But you'd have to say Caceres has been excellent since coming on. It's a great finish. And what you have to say is that when you've got quality like this, you only need one chance. You got Lafondra, you got Barbarouses. You give them that sniff, and they'll take it. It is a super finish. But Eric Mombert, the lack of concentration, a simple pass right through the middle from the 10 men, releases Barbarouses, and he does the rest.
A goal to celebrate, his 5th in sky blue, and he does it against Melbourne City, the former victory man, of course. City looking to hit back, and Redmayne plucks it. In that lucky pink wiggle outfit. Bratton, look at that pass. Absolutely magnificent. Galloway's just chopped him down. Has to be a card. Costa Barbarouses looks to Kurt Ams and says, "You are joking." He's done him like a dinner.
Should have been a yellow. And that's the one thing you just ask for, is consistency. I had no problem with Roston Griffiths not getting a second yellow, but there, that's, I mean, Barbarouses was away. Melbourne City only themselves to blame. 11 against 10, and they've still got time to claw it back. And full marks to Sydney FC the way they've played this game. Luke Bratton has been outstanding in the middle of the park.
No A-League team has ever won 9 home games in a row. This would be some way to set the new benchmark. Steve Corica getting another change ready, and it's an A-League debut coming up for young Patrick Flopman. And they have the focus on Alex Wilkinson there. Holding off on that change for now. Wales. Space out here for Atkinson. Berlanti aware. Atkinson cutting inside, leaves it for Berlanti. Not a bad idea to tease it to the back post, and Luna says to Najarine, "You should have been there."
Yeah, look, it's not a bad idea, and it's a decent cross. As you say, someone should be attacking that ball, but I thought the real chance for the best cross was when Atkinson was released in a first-time ball, whipped in. Would have been a better option. LaFondra will get a standing ovation, as all these Sydney players will, if this stays the same.
He's opened up a 2-goal buffer at the top of the Golden Boot race after scoring Sydney FC's first. Missed a penalty, had it saved by Glover, but still leaves a hero with his team in front. And Sydney FC poised to go 9 points clear after 11 games. In by Najarine. McLaren on the move. Wilkinson backs off, and the touch works out as Caceres. That half-time substitution has been an inspired one.
He's been excellent in the second half, full of running, defending. He gets the assist for that fabulous Barbarouses goal, but they get deep here.
Berlanti. Track it amongst a couple of defenders.
No one up front for Sydney FC.
And Flopman slotted in alongside Wilkinson, heading that one clear. Caceres again in a scrap, and it breaks off Van der Sark. A little bit of fortune to find Bratton. That low centre of gravity, and the neat turning circle to release King. And Wales tracks back, concedes the throw-in.
Luke Bratton, what a game. Tracking back from Lockie Wells, but that suits Sydney. They'll take the throw in. No hurry to take it, of course.
That's what it means on the live ladder. Look at that goal difference as well, plus 15. Sydney FC. No one else threatening to be in double figures in that category. 9-point edge, unless City can snatch something at the death here. How much stoppage time will there be for them? Stephen Lucas has the board, about to tell everyone in about 20 seconds time.
Well, I don't think Melbourne City are going to get the 6 minutes they got at half time. You want me to have a guess, Speedy? I'll go for 4.
Yeah, I think you might be bang on. Nazarene. I've seen him throughout his young career preferring to cut in from this side and pick out the top corner with his left boot, but he's out there on the left wing and he didn't look too comfortable when it came to the crunch there. Well done, Robbie. 100%.
Well, that kind of half, I can't take too much credit. It's never 2. It's usually 3 or 4. And can Melbourne City. And Sydney are very, very deep. The last 2 attacks, they've had no one up front.
Well played by King. Chopped down at the end of it all as it was going out for the goal kick. Learning plenty, young Joel King, 19 years of age. As all those injury problems have given him a good run of games and played one of his best tonight. So that is since the Ryan Grant red card. 30 balls into the area to 11, 14 shots to 6 in favour of Melbourne City. And look what it's all amounted to, 2-0. Sydney FC winning that period. It's going to be interesting post-match reaction from Eric Mombert and the City players to see what they make of it. How have they let this opportunity slip?
Well, they just haven't been good enough. It's quite simple. They haven't dominated the ball the way they should have. You brought up that stat where it was nearly even possession. That shouldn't happen when you're 11 against 10 and you're looking to challenge for a title.
And Luke Bratton said this week, if we're on our game, I don't think anyone could beat us. It's going to be scary when we put a 90-minute performance together. And many would be agreeing with him. Still time for City, though. Midway through stoppage time. Atkinson could have gone down. He did eventually. Referee says, I'll play the advantage. Maybe the free kick was the advantage. Luna, though, to Nazarene across the face, and Redmayne prevents the corner again.
That's it. When Redmayne's form outstanding this season, when you get past everyone else, you still got to get past him. Worked this nicely here. Nazarene, Luna, the return ball, somehow got it and fired it towards that near post. With Sydney not offering any resistance to these kind of balls, very, very deep, no one at all up front. I just think it's worth keeping one up there just to keep them honest.
Battening down the hatches, trying to preserve that 2-1 lead. King is going to send it only as far as Griffiths. Galloway, all pretty narrow here for City. Good, look how advanced he is. Galloway to deliver. Back heel, off Caceres, concedes the corner. So they continue to work the short corners, even at this stage of the game. Of course, Sydney FC dramas. Tom Glover is up.
He's a big unit, by the way. And Sydney, having sat so deep for the last 3 minutes.
Well, the extra man count here. Here's Glover tracking it down in the opposition penalty area. How are the skills? Back to his feet, sharpish. Oh, then risking a card the way he dived in there on Bratton, who played it out off the goalkeeper, and job done, it appears.
Tried to drop his shoulder there. Bratton, outstanding.
Minimum amount of stoppage time is up. Listen to the noise around Cogra. All eyes on Kurt Ams. Checks his watch. Look at the celebration from Steve Corica. He knows this is massive. Sydney FC go 9 points clear at the top of the A-League ladder. It is a win full of substance and character. A team huddle, you don't see that too often. They batten down the hatches, the 10 men, after Ryan Grant was shown a straight red card. They trailed 1-0 at the time. They win at 2-1. Their 9th win of the campaign. What a performance from Sydney FC. Full time at Cogra. And it's Sydney FC 2, Melbourne City 1. Huge result. Let's get some reaction now. The match winner is with Adam.
Costa Barbarouses, way to make yourself a hero with that mob behind there. They like you already. I think they love you right now. That goal, talk us through it and how special did it feel? You scored some big goals across the league over your time.
Yeah, it's a big goal, no question. I have to, applaud everyone at the club, for the effort today because, with that early setback, and that's where we need to stand up. I think that's where you need to show you have the championship qualities. And we showed that tonight, and obviously there's still a long way to go, but I think that's a big result and gives us a lot of confidence.
Yeah, 5 goals in Melbourne derbies, and this one's a good one as well. You've been in some very, very good football environments. Brisbane Roar, Ange Postecoglou, Melbourne Victory, when they were winning things. Is there anything that sets this place apart, or is it along similar lines to what those places had?
They all have little differences. I think the main thing is the respect everyone has for each other. I think that's a big thing. We all, have a laugh when it's time to, but then when it's time to work, we all respect each other in that department, and when it's time to work, we really work. So we all follow Bimby's orders. He's a very calm sort of person, and you have to respect the coach to be successful, and I think everyone's buying into it.
Well, congratulations, great goal, great win.
Thanks, Hart.
Over to Roston Griffiths, the flip side of the emotions right now. Roston, what is holding this side back? I mean, Melbourne derby coming off a great win over Newcastle. Go into that one, doesn't quite work out. Against 10 men here, I mean, they're a good side, but it doesn't quite work out again. What is holding Melbourne City back at the moment?
I think the coach touched on it last week, a little bit of the mentality of the club at the moment. Sydney FC, Melbourne Victory, when it comes to big games, they know how to win, they know how to turn up. They're the 2 teams that you don't want to play in the final series, and they're 2 teams that you don't want to play throughout the league. And if we want to be at that level, well, that's the sort of that people need to think of us in that sense. And at the moment, we're this close. We're so close from being a top side. We're playing nice football. We've got good tactics. We know what we're doing, but for some reason, our mentality is not probably where it needs to be. And fair play to Sydney tonight, because against 10 men, it was probably more difficult than against 11.
With Costa, I mentioned the environments he's been in the A-League, which were very, very good. You were with Graham Arnold at Central Coast when it was very, very good. So you know what it takes, that extra little bit that needs to come out. Can you actually pinpoint the specific area, or is that the great mystery for this side at the moment?
Well, it's a great mystery, and it's, I suppose that's what the best managers are able to get out of their players, and I think that's what Eric's trying to instill on the players. He's worked at top levels, and the culture of the clubs have been there in seasons past, and people have been there seasons past, so it takes time to change that. It takes time to change that belief, and I think tonight even, we were played all right, but our confidence wasn't 100%, our touch wasn't 100%, the passing wasn't 100%, and little things like that are going to kill us, and especially against 10 men when they're sitting deep.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks so much, gents. What a huge result for Sydney FC. They go 9 points clear at the top of the table. What a clash it was, and what a night for Milos Ninkovic, who joins us right now at the pod. People are screaming your name beyond. The fans absolutely love you. A huge congratulations on the result, Milos. A late birthday present, a late Christmas present perhaps. But wow, you're 9 points clear at the top of the table. That must feel good.
Yeah, it feels amazing, especially after tonight's performance. As you said, with 10 men, and we score. We had a penalty as well, and I think we had a couple of chances in the second half. What a performance. I think the best performance so far in this season.
And Milos, when the red card came for Ryan Grant, and you looked at the clock and you realised you had maybe 70 minutes to do all this running with 10 men, what did you think to yourself? Do you think then that we can do this if we stay in the structure, and then maybe, did you think that or not?
To be honest, I thought that we can hurt them, because as you know, the last couple of games, we sit back and we were very dangerous when we won the ball, you know. And exactly we did the same tonight, and that's why. I felt like that we can win the game. Yeah.
You scored with a man down when Adam Lafondra finished it, so you went into the sheds and it was all even Stevens. What did Bimby say to all of you when you had to walk out there for another 45?
Yeah, another 45. But Bimby said, "Look, guys, we just need to keep going." And Bimby said, "We're gonna win this game, you know." And we really thought that we have a chance, you know. And on the end, what a game, you know. And to be honest, they had a couple of chances as well, but I think we fully deserved 3 points tonight.
And listen, you came off with 11 minutes to go, but is it okay? The calf is okay, or you're a bit tired?
It's ice
Just a little bit tired, you know.
I
but
can understand.
Yeah, I'm older now, 30. I'm not young anymore. 90 minutes is too much for me.
You're just 35 now, and looking at where you are on the table, we know that you've been in this situation before with this club. How are you feeling about your title chances right now?
We have big chances, to be honest, you know. But look, we also know that Champions League is coming, and with all traveling and everything is not going to be easy. And we just need to be focused and to play like we played last 10 or 11 games. And yeah, look, it's not going to be easy, as I said, because Champions League is very hard. Very hard.
Good, you got these points now in the bag, so if you lose a couple, it's okay.
It's not going to be easy, but as I said, 9 points is we are happy with 9 points too.
All right, well, big congratulations.
Thank you very much.
9 points. It's a lovely buffer at the top of the table. A huge congratulations,
Thank you very much.
All the very best.
On the result tonight. Let's hear what your coach thought about it. Steve Corica with Adam Peacock.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Great interview with Milos Ninkovic. Steve Corica, wowza, fair few emotions in that game. Congratulations. I noticed you got excited in the grand final, and fair enough too at the penalty shootout, but when that goal went in from Costa Barbarouses, I haven't seen you that excited in a very long time. Did a lot come bubbling out, given the emotion of just the 90 minutes in isolation, because a lot happened in that game?
Of course. I thought we started extremely well. Obviously, until Rhino got sent off, it was going to be difficult after that. We knew that, but you know, these boys never give up, mate. At halftime, we made sure that our structure was great defensively, but when I saw that, the second goal was, you know, that's what you get with quality. You got Costa, you got Adam, Ninko, Alex, you know, unfortunately had to come off, but, you know, these boys up front can turn a game just like that. And, you know, as long as we stayed solid at the back, I had a great feeling that we were going to get something out of that today.
With your half-time chat, it's the easy question, what'd you say to the boys at half-time, but did you have to compose yourself a little bit given the amount of emotion that went on in that first half? There were tackles flying in, goals, penalty claims, red card claims, everything going on. Did you have to just settle yourself before you gave the message to the players just to relay a bit of calmness and take the stuffing out of the game?
Everything was calm at half-time. You know, we were just deciding which player to come off. Really, we had to get Anthony on. You know, I think just defensively he does a fantastic job, and you saw with the ball as well, he can carry the ball out of the midfield area as well, which was fantastic. So it was very calm. It was very down to business, knowing what the boys had to do. It was simple instructions, and they carried it out to a T. And obviously, you know, we had the penalty miss as well, so it could have been even more. But yeah, I'm really proud of the boys. That was sensational tonight.
It's a comfortable gap at the top now, but I'm sure you won't allow the players to get comfortable. But do you need to remind them, or do they know? It's just you rock up tomorrow morning, do you?